You guys, it's pretty much done.
Start of day 4. I'm glad I gave myself plenty of time to do this because it all takes longer than I ever anticipate. Just got all the actual power cables wired up. For the first time, I labeled the power supplies so I know what's gonna go where. MIDI cables and power cables wired. Next, the hardest part, audio cables. I got a couple pedals in and I decided to check my work real quick just to see if there was signal passing, and there wasn't. And the very first cable in the chain, the tip had broken off inside the jack. Down in there, it broke off, which kills the signal, so I gotta redo it. Boo! Musical inspiration. Musical inspiration for day 4, the darkness. If you don't listen to the darkness, you need to fix that. All right, it's day 5. Day 5, really? Ran into some things that slowed me down. I have most of the audio cables wired up, but I unfortunately ran out of cable. I thought I had enough from the previous board. I had to order some more. This is taking longer than I thought, but the process has gone smoothly, but unfortunately I've run into a couple situations where I've run out of something that I needed. But these tie-down mounts are really nice. It looks really nice. See these cables? They're just being held there. They're not going anywhere. It makes things look really cool. It makes me feel good knowing that they're gonna be pretty dang secure. Okay, so it's day 6. There have been a couple setbacks. On days 4 and 5, I got most of the audio cabling done, but I didn't have enough to run the reverb pedal, which is way over here, that needs to run down to G2 down there. So I had to order some. Those are coming today. So this looks a little messy because the power cables have been tied down, but the audio cables haven't yet. And you can just see they're kind of, it's messy. I think right now I'm gonna tie down some of it, make it look a little tidy. I'm not gonna go so far into it that I have to cut the zip ties when the new cables arrive later today and then rewire it or something. So just wanted a little catch up because this process hasn't been filmed a lot. So anyway, what else? But at the end of day 6, with the exception of one MIDI cable that is being shipped, the board will be done. I'm gonna try my best. That's all I can do, right? Just try my best. So much sunlight. Okay, so the remaining audio cables have come. They are lava cables, solderless. These ones are purple, pretty rad. And these are the ends that get used. So I'm gonna put these cables together and wire up the audition box and the stereo reverb. After that, all the audio cabling will be done. Time to make these cables. So close to the finish line, but ran into a bit of a snag that I'm gonna have to fix. So I was testing the board out and I noticed this issue. The audition box I'm gonna use fairly often with a volume pedal, but I can also try pedals out with it. It's about the placement of these two. If I want a volume pedal, I put it about like right here. Uh-oh. See? I did not see that coming. So if I can run this pedal here, I can plug in there and I can have the volume down here. What I'm gonna have to do right now is unplug all the cables for these two, switch their positions, and test it out. One other thing I'm gonna have to do is the power cable for the Audition is coming from all the way over here. It's the farthest one away. And I had the power cable going through all these zip ties that are already done. It's going wherever it went. So rather than undoing every single one of those zip ties, I'm going to snip the cable end at different places, just sacrifice it and pull it out so I don't have to redo all that. I'm just gonna have it run behind a lot of this stuff that's already tied down and it'll hold it down. I think I would have to undo 8 zip ties and I have 7 left, which is hilarious. Rest in peace, my man. So still troubleshooting and just making sure everything is super precise. I found this out when I turned on the first loop, which is the Octavia and the muff pedal. I was getting some noise, but listen to what happens. Now, one of the cables is this one. This cable is near the generator that's powering the gig rig. Listen to the buzz when I move it closer and further away. All right, don't run your audio cables near your power supplies. That's the only one that's doing that, so I'm gonna fix it. Okay, day 7. Man, we are almost there. I have switched these two, and that's a lot better now. The volume pedal or another pedal can be on the side right here, and my input from my guitar can go right here to the very first thing in the chain, and that's okay. I can still get my foot there when I need it. That's gonna work out well. One other issue I ran into when I have a pedal on top of where a power supply is under the board, which for the most part's not an issue, but it is an issue right here. Underneath the board is the generator, which is powering G2. Right on top of it is my compressor. This is picking up some noise since it's close to this, and a compressor is obviously going to raise the noise. So having this right on top of here, especially when a lot of the time I have my compressor on and I have the page on. So there's noise coming from the generator that is being amplified by the compressor, that is being amplified by the page. So what I'm gonna try to do, hopefully this goes smoothly, is move this here and have the tuner here and then the phase 90 here. Most of the noise is coming right here. So the tuner's not in the audio path. So I can have the tuner on top. If noise goes to the tuner, that's fine. And then next, if there's noise going to the phaser, I don't use that nearly as much as I use the compressor. So I'm gonna try to get the compressor here and move these two over and switch them. So let's see how that goes. Day 7. That's how long it took. Now, it could have taken a few days less because, like I mentioned, I ran out of a couple supplies, and technically it's not all the way done. There's one MIDI cable. It'll be quick to just throw that in here. This is totally usable. This is totally giggable, so it's ready to rock. A couple of snags that I had to correct. One, there was a good amount of noise when I would turn on the compressor because the compressor was on top of a power supply and it was not good. It took me like an hour, but the compressor used to be over here. This has no extra noise. This is on top of the power supply too. This is not picking up noise. So this was picking up a lot of noise, and I had to, undo all the power cables and the audio cables for these, undo a couple zip ties in the back. Leave your zip ties open until you are absolutely done with it. That's one other thing that I've learned. I would get really happy and think this part's done, and I'd pull the zip tie all the way tight and snip it off, and I had to go back and unclip over this process probably 20 zip ties, so just leave them. So that has been taken care of. I've tested this all out and it sounds great. The whole thing is really low noise. I was really careful with the audio cables not to have them run too close to any power supplies. The noise that was coming from this
was not gonna work. That would have made me very sad. So I'm glad I just took the extra time, figured it out. It was a pain, but I'm so happy that I went ahead and did it. Let's check out the back. All right, here's the back. Not bad. It's a lot of cables to have to deal with, but I'd give the cleanliness a solid B-. Not bad. Not bad. One other thing that you may notice from a previous video is that this pedal, the Love Pedal Mark III tone bender, that I was sitting kind of on top of that audition box, this did not end up making it to the board because when I played this and that gold pedal, the Analog Man Sun Face, that's a fuzz face clone, this wasn't drastically different enough to warrant it being on the board. What an adult decision. This ended up being off the board. My previous board had 16 pedals on it. This one has 14. Bigger board, 2 less pedals, and I'm really happy with it. Let's talk about the cases.
You two are just gonna be best friends. You're gonna be best friends. So this is the tour case, and it's pretty big and pretty heavy. It weighs 26 pounds. I don't want to bring this thing around all the time, so I ended up with 2 cases. In addition to that flight case, I got this mono M80 bag. It weighs nothing. It's a soft case, but the padding is pretty substantial. Now, I don't want to put the pedal board in this and put this in the back of a van with hard cases and other tour cases, potentially being able to fall on it and hurt something. This is the case that I'm going to use for rehearsals and most gigs in town because it's smaller and lighter. The tour case is for when I really need the board to be protected, which means going in the back of a van pretty much. I'm pretty happy with this option. It might be slightly extravagant to have 2 cases for one board, but I have all my bases covered, so I'm pretty happy with it. This one is heavy, but it does have wheels. And those are the cases. So with the board and the cables in the heavy tour case, it weighs 61 pounds. Heavy. It's heavy. It has wheels, and again, I'm not going to use this most of the time. It's heavy. It's heavy. The last board weighed 50 pounds. Now I'm going to weigh the board just by itself, and I'm going to weigh the board in the mono case. And I'm sweating from lifting stuff. Okay, so the board and the cables inside the big, heavy tour case weighs 61 pounds. The board, the cables in the mono soft case is 42 pounds. The board itself is 32 pounds. So with this bag and the cables, it's an extra 10 pounds. So 42 pounds, my last board was 50 pounds. With the tour case, it's 61. It's a lot heavier, but it has wheels and I won't be using it that much. So I'm gonna get used to this bag because I think it's gonna be good. And again, those are the cases. Yes. All right, it's been a fun journey. 2019 pedalboard build is complete. 99.5%. There's that one cable, but that's okay. I'll tell you what, I'm really excited to try this out. I don't want to make a new board for a while. It's a lot of work, but this ended up being really fun. Doing the videos made this process really fun. It sometimes gave me a distraction, which I needed, because oftentimes when I'm doing something like this, I get laser focused and we'll just enter a black hole of cables. And I'll go a little crazy. So doing the videos was actually a nice thing to break away from working on this and do something that was kind of silly. I appreciate everybody watching. The response has been amazing. Way more people watched it than I was expecting. People who don't play guitar or have any idea what I'm talking about watched. And I really appreciate that. That was really cool. Maybe I'll do some videos like this again in the future. I'm so sweaty. So I just wanted to say thank you to everybody that watched this. This is really fun. We did it! We did it! Yes!